So if you're watching on YouTube, you see the bottom of the screen. It always said Dean Blundell Network, but today is the day that Crier Media gets launched. Crier Media, the new media empire, basically it's unfiltered media. It's anything you want. It's basically by the content creator for the content creator. Check us out, link in bio. You know what to do. But this is episode number 207 of YWC Football Talk. It is a very big week. It is divisional week, the Elite Eight week, if you want to call it that. But with that being said, there is one team in particular no one thought would be here. There is one team in particular who plays in a very big market, and the fans are very excited because for the first time since February 5th of 2012, a date I like to forget, the New York Football Giants are in the playoffs, but not only are they in the playoffs, they won a damn playoff game. So for now, we're supposed to have both sets, but we only have one set of the awesome Lorenzo Bros at the moment. Alex is here with me. Different name. I'm not going to repeat it, but not for work. Call it what it is, but I'll say it anyway. You know what? Because that's the podcast. We're unfiltered. Why not? Penis Scarlett Johansson Anal is on YWC Football Talk's 207th episode.
The last time I was on here, I don't think we were recording video, so I didn't know that was happening. That was a joke to make Matt laugh, but it's from Jake and Amir. So I could have changed that. My bad. But yeah, the New York Football Giants are one win away from going to the Super Bowl.
Because it's one of those things too, where like no one expected them to be here at this time of the year. It's just that there's a feel to them that's different this year. I know for a long time I was always down on Dimes on Danny, but you know what? The more and more I got to see of him this season and kind of follow him, the more and more you start to realize, is he a top 5 guy? I'm not going to say yes to that, but he is a guy that, can lead the Giants, and he's a guy that the fans are, I don't want to say if they're finally behind, because I feel like there was a big chunk of the fan base that was always behind him, but the fans can trust him, because one stat I actually saw was that from 2019 to 2021, he had, I think it was just not a lot of clean games, meaning no interceptions, no turnovers. He only had 9 of them this year. I think he had at least 11 per season or something like that, for the last 3 years. So he's finally tuned down on that. But before we get into that game, is it just what's the feel within the fan base? Because for what I've gotten, it's just kind of that cloud nine euphoria feeling.
Yeah, it's pure excitement. Look, the Eagles seem to be going. I don't want to say they're going down hill right now, but what's the word I'm looking for? They're slow. They're sinking down, and we're rising up. The stock of the teams, I should say, is going down, but we feel like they are the most beatable they've been all season, and we're the hottest we've been all season. We're playing our best. Our coaches are calling the best game plans currently, even though the defense wasn't great against Minnesota, but they did only allow, 24 points against Justin Jefferson and Dalvin Cook and Hawkinson. So it ended up being a good game, but we feel like we're playing them at the right time. I don't want to put too much stock into the week 18 game where they were playing at 40% against our third strings, and it was kind of close for a little, but yeah, it's just it's hard to not believe that we have a chance.
Is it hard to put stock, though, into the game from about a month ago when they came into MetLife and they, quote-unquote, blew the brakes off you? I think it was 48-22 or something like that. Do you put stock into what happened there, though, compared to because 2 weeks ago, obviously, you can push to the side. It's like Dallas-Philly last year. Philly was playing their third stringers. Dallas was still going full speed ahead. But with that game from a month ago, we saw a high-flying Eagles offense. So I just wanted to see where it was when it comes to that, because obviously those two games are different, and this isn't the rubber match, but this is the third match of the trilogy.
So we're not that team anymore. If I'm correct, we didn't have Xavier McKinney or Adoree Jackson. Probably they are our two best pieces in the secondary. So to have Adoree Jackson probably cover Devonta Smith, because they're both speed guys, and then you get Fabian Moreau on AJ Brown with help from a different safety, and then you have McKinney probably on the tight end. That helps so much than just having Fabian Moreau as your tight end one, or as your cornerback one, and then Nick McLeod getting picked on all game. Most of these listeners probably don't even know who Nick McLeod is, because I barely know who Nick McLeod is, but so yeah, it's a completely different game. Also, if Aziz is healthy, he got hurt. I don't know, doing nothing during the game, but they said he's limited, so he's back practicing. If our front four is the best it's ever been coming into the playoffs, Dexter Lawrence is legit one of the best defensive tackles in the game. And then Kayvon usually plays real well when the lights are on brightest. So, like I said, it's hard not to believe that we can beat them.
But would you say it was better than 07 though? When like that, would this front seven compare to that front seven, like the Michael Strahan
front seven? No,
yeah,
because our linebackers are the worst in the NFL. And I mean, no one's as good as Strahan. OC. No one's really OC right now. The interior probably is better, but no, not front seven total. Maybe front four, probably not.
That's just the other thing too, though, because even we'll get into the game in a little bit, but when it comes to playing with this, I'm actually going to steal this. Chris Russo said this on air today. When it comes to the Giants and the Eagles, the Giants are playing with house money right now. The Giants are. Look, if you go out there and you win, it's great. You just keep building momentum. If they go out there and lose, you know what? Hey, we got to the final 8 when no one expected us to do anything when we were picking 5th and 7th in the draft. Obviously, one of those picks was Chicago's, but you were picking 2 picks in the top 10 last year to the final 8 of the NFL and picking somewhere in the mid-20s. If you ask me, that's a much, much improved season. And all things considered, too, is the fact of just how far this team has come and how well they've hung in there. It just goes to show that, like, the whole house money thing, because if the Eagles get behind, that fan base is going to get restless Saturday, and the Link's not going to be a pretty place to be. But if the Giants hold tough, you can kind of leave with your head held high, no?
Oh, totally. I mean, this team was in shambles just a year ago. Fan base was lost. We had no hope. We had finally hired the right GM and the right coaches, we think, but we don't know. And with the roster, it's like, what can a great GM and a great coach really do with no money and no players?
Top 5 in cap this year, though.
Yeah, well, we got to re-sign everyone, so I still wouldn't expect the Giants to spend big on outside players.
No, but it's always a good thing to have.
Yeah, we still need to sign Daniel, Dexter, Saquon, a couple wide receivers. I don't know if we're going to bring them back. McKinney probably needs a contract. Julian Love. So there's a lot of people we have to take care of in-house. So I don't know how we're going to spend this offseason. But again, we just wanted hope for the future. I know it hasn't been too long. It sounds like we are like the Bills, never won. But we went through really, really bad teams. Like, we watched Mike Glennon and Jake Fromm literally not be able to complete a pass because the O-line was so bad and they were so bad, to beating the Vikings, who won 11 games in the playoffs. So it is house money. And honestly, I kind of like that we have to play the Eagles. It's like, I don't want to, like, if we didn't have to play them and then we somehow went to the Super Bowl, it's like, well, the Eagles would have beat them. It's like, no excuses. They're the best team in the conference, and we hate them. So let's just fucking go through them, or they're the better team, and it's not that hard to admit.
You know what? That's the thing, too. And I like that you admitted that, because there's a lot of Giants fans out there that I saw that were like there's one particular set of Giant fans that I'm going to leave out of this. One, because I got to talk to the guy well before their podcast took off. That's Justin Pennick of Talking Giants. I'm just watching them. But there were certain Giant fans that are calling this Team of Destiny and saying Super Bowl, or like people that were like very emotional after this, where I was like, I'm not trying to be bad, but when I look at that, I'm like, the Giants won 2 Super Bowls in 15 years. I understand being happy because of how bad it's been and just the years of mediocrity. But when I hear that stuff, I kind of want to, like, that's the thing with this time of year. You got to take it 1 week at a time. I know my team's not there anymore, and I know they aren't what they once were. But learning from all that experience, it's just 60 minutes at a time per week, and we'll see what happens. But anyway, besides the Giants, which we will get into in a little bit, we've got 4 games this week, which RIP to the 1 o'clock window. That is no more until September 10th. September 10th this year. But the first game Saturday, we have the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars, coming off a miraculous win Where, fun fact, someone here almost put $50 on the Jags at halftime as a goof and would have won 1,000, but he didn't. But those same Jaguars are going into Kansas City as 8-point dogs, and the over-under is at 52.5. There's a part of me here, I don't want to take the Jags money line, but I really like Jags spread here.
I just couldn't. I'd rather bet Kansas City wins and covers and lose that way than thinking that Jacksonville actually has a chance.
I would take the +8, but if anything, if you want to change it, maybe take Kansas City at like -3 or -4.
Yeah,
Something
4.5
like
maybe is like 5.5, probably the most
Yeah.
I would do. A touchdown. They should win by at least 6.
I'm gonna throw out 28-21. I think it's 28-14, but then Jacksonville like kind of knocks down the back door.
I
Where
can
it's
easily
like
see that.
garbage time touchdown in the fourth.
I can
Because
see them
we-
being down 2 touchdowns.
That's
in,
what I'm
like,
saying,
the beginning
28,
of the
they're down-
fourth. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Like,
then
it's one of those. Go on.
no, yeah, I was just gonna say I could see them like being down 2 touchdowns before the fourth, like coming back almost, maybe being down 3, and then like getting down like 2 touchdowns in like a split second.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those
And then
things
covering
where
at the end.
Yeah, it's one of those things like where you look at it, you just kind of blink your eyes, and then it's like, or it's a close game. Like say if it's like 14-7, but then you just Kansas City quickly 21-7 or like 24-7, and it's just like one of those things where it's just like okay, vroom, vroom, and then they just go down and they do that. I will say this though, I do like the under for this one at 52.5. I'm just going to throw that out there right now. I don't see this being a high scoring game, but I can see this being close to that number. That's why I get 28-21 from, like that 40, that's 49 points, but like somewhere in the high 40s range where both teams at least get 20. But at the end of the day, I think whoever wins this game, or if Kansas City does, basically, I think this game is going to be like how Jacksonville played against LA, but Kansas City just doesn't let up for 60 minutes. There's no like taking the foot off the gas. It's just full steam ahead for 60 minutes.
They're not. Kansas City's not going to make the same mistake. So if Jacksonville doesn't come out strong, like they're done.
Yeah, exactly. But also too, they can't play stupid. They got to be aggressive, but at the same time, you can't play dumb football here.
You can't play Doug Peterson football. No, he's going to fuck it up.
I think it's either that or it's just going to be like, I can even see a world where it's like close for Jacksonville, but then either Trevor throws a pick or there's an uncostly fumble, say somewhere like Jacksonville's at the 40-yard line and then, fumble, and then Chiefs go the other way, and then that's when the touchdown occurs. So I could see something like that happening. The only gripe I have with this game is the fact that NBC, I know you guys play Saturday night, but I feel like the Saturday night game should be NBC and not the 4:30 in the afternoon game. That's just something I have to say.
They get Sunday night, or who gets Sunday night then?
Fox.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
I really can't. I don't know if Trevor Lawrence is going to come out strong or come out slow again.
I just think that last week was their Super Bowl too.
Yeah,
you get
the only winnable game they could have gotten.
Yeah, but no, it's just the fact that they had to come back and everything like that, and it's just like all this stuff. Like I'm going to Waffle House, and he showed up at the Waffle House with like a full members of his crew and a heavily armed police officer. But I just can see a world where that happens. But at the end of the day, you take the smart money, you take the Kansas City Chiefs, or we have a goofy team of destiny where we got Daniel Jones and Trevor Lawrence in Phoenix in 3.5 weeks. Yeah. So usually, last time you guys were on here, I did some graphics were kind of funny, like I did NEP, for example. But for this one, I did this for you guys.
You did Jax, JC, it's JX.
I almost did X. But for this one, though, I did it different, as you see the G-Men, for those of you on YouTube. That's why, because I'm doing it like, the Chris Berman voice, like the G-Men. Because we have the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the G-Men, the New York Football Giants, who are 7.5-point underdogs, a 48.5 over-under. Only thing I'm going to say, I don't know which way this game is going to go. Give me the Giants at +7.5.
Did it open at 7.5 or 8.5?
It was always around 7.5. It just kind of hasn't really fluctuated that much.
Yeah, I like 7.5, 8.5. I think it's going to be a close game. I just think our coaching is too good to get blown out.
I also think people in Vegas are learning the mistakes of last week where, look, everyone thought Buffalo was going to walk Miami and everyone thought Cincinnati was going to walk all over Baltimore, when people are quickly, slowly starting to learn, hey, don't take high spreads in divisional play. Just don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, the teams know each other very well. We've had a lot of time to game plan for this. And Evan Neal is is going to be the biggest question mark for the Giants. If he can not have a terrible game, we have a chance. But I mean, people there are still people who doubt Daniel Jones, and I've been saying it since the first time I saw this kid throw a pass in preseason. I hated him when we drafted him because I didn't know anything, and Dave Gettleman is a war criminal. But I saw him. He completed like 7 passes in a row on his first drive in preseason, probably for a touchdown. And I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm all in. And then just watching him with Pat Shurmur, he was great. He just turned the ball over too much. And by turn the ball over, I mean most of his fumbles were on strip sacks because the offensive line was Nate Solder and fucking like Cam Fleming. And then he has Jason Garrett, who's awful at his job, just numbed the offense, just dumbed it down to absolutely like stick and curls, and that's it. And Daniel Jones was not trusted or wasn't given to anything. And when he had 300 yards against the Saints in that terrible offense. And I believe against Washington one of those years.
Don't remind me of the Saints Giants because I always remember that like the whole week it was like Saints minus 7.5. I thought Saints are going to walk them. It's going to be this. That's one of the worst beats. I've had a lot of bad beats, as you know. That's one of the worst bad beats because I was so cocky about the Saints going into that game. And then it goes into overtime, and then the Saints lose the game too. So
yeah,
that was
that was a great game, but it led to nothing. Yeah. But I don't even know. Oh, so Daniel Jones. So I'm just and he started his first couple games, even when we won, he wasn't playing well. It took him a little while to get the offense. And from the meat of the season, we were a run heavy offense, and then teams figured it out and stacked the box and run blitz and everything. And we for the last couple weeks, the Vikings game, the Colts game, even though they're terrible, and then the playoff game, we let Daniel Jones loose, and he threw 300 yards, and I think all of them are the same. If he didn't get it in the Colts game, but he did it against the Vikings twice. And he plays near perfect ball. Like his mistakes are like drop passes, throwaways, and then if you look at his running stats from this playoff game, it's like 4 extra runs are on there because they're kneeled down, so it looks way worse.
Do you know who Hembo is from ESPN?
I do not.
Oh, so because I listen to Get Up in a variety of shows in the morning on the way to work. So he basically tweeted out that Daniel Jones clean games, 0 interceptions, 0 fumbles. From 2019 to 2021, he only had 7 of those games. In 2022, he had 9 of those. That's the most in the NFL. Oh,
wait. Most in the NFL of games with 0 turnovers? Oh, yeah. He does that a lot.
Games. Yeah.
But in what was the first part of that stat again?
That from 2019 to 2021, he only had 7 clean games where he didn't have a pick or he didn't have a fumble.
Okay. Well, in 2019, he had a lot.
Yeah.
Obviously. But if I can just pull this up real quick.
Because the first clean game of his career.
2020, okay, he played 14 games. In 2021, he missed 5 games. Yeah. So he's missed. He's not like he's playing a full season every year either.
Yeah. But
he threw 7 interceptions in 2021. Like that's fine. And he threw 5 this year, which is like incredible. So yeah, I'm glad that it shows it's the most in the league this year. 2021, he was starting to turn the ball over a lot less.
And then in 2019, the first clean game of his career became on December 22nd. It was a 41-35 victory. It doesn't say who, but it's from Jordan. This is from Jordan Randan.
Washington.
Yeah. So I think it was against Washington, but that was the first clean game of his career. He threw the game-winning touchdown in an overtime of 41-35.
Yeah.
That also put a dent in their chance to land Chase.
Yeah, that was the Andrew Thomas Bowl.
Yeah.
Thank God we won that game, or else we would have drafted Chase Young, and we would have had no left tackle.
Yeah, but at the same time, too, when you look at it, KT and Chase Young would be something formidable to look at on the line.
Yeah, but we have not many people will know it because he's always hurt and no one talks about him. Azeez Ojulari sacks per the games he plays, he's incredible. He's just always hurt. He's getting a ton of sacks.
It's kind of like us with Josh Uche this year, where he finally had a breakout year, and he was the same thing. I think both were second-round picks, so 2020, 2021. It's always – that's what I always say with the draft on a side note. You don't win it on day one. Day one, if you hit on that pick, great. That's the pick that everyone sees. You win the draft on day 2 and day 3 when you find those
you're bad
gems.
if you don't hit on day 1.
Yeah, you're bad if you don't hit on day 1, but if you can hit on day 2 and day 3, you look like a really good GM because it shows that, hey, your scouting department is really good at their job.
Yeah.
But no, when it comes to this game, I think that's just the biggest thing for Danny. I'm not too concerned about him turning over the football, which comes a long way from how I've always viewed Daniel Jones in the past. Excuse me. But when it comes to this game, I think it's ultimately going to come down to the quarterback that screws up the less, the quarterback that can have the most ball security. And at the end of the day, I'm here to say this. I think that's Daniel Jones. But at the same time, too, we all know that when the Giants and the Eagles play, there's the one little secret weapon who I'm admitting to you on the podcast today to take on a bet that I did in week 18, and that's Boston Scott. So we'll have to see what happens, but I think, too, the running game is going to be the big X factor for both sides here. I know both have receiving talent. I know the Giants' receiving talent's a little bit sparser than the Eagles, but I think ultimately the run game is going to be the X factor.
I mean, yeah, Boston Scott his touchdown odds will probably be at like plus 110, if that. It might be minus because he does it almost every game. I don't know how much field he's going to see. If they're smart, they probably have a game plan to get him like 15 touches, 10 touches, 9 touches, something like that, because it somehow always works no matter what the situation is, who the defense is, or what doesn't matter. Snow, sun.
Plus 390.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe he won't play and we'll get lucky, but yeah. The run game. So the Giants, like I said, for the bulk of the season, were run, play action, run, play action. And by the third quarter, by the 75% of the season, it was our play action wasn't fooling anyone. Our runs were getting stopped. So now the way we used Saquon in the Vikings game was when it was open and he was averaging like 7 yards a carry. So I think if we stick to that and keep the ball in Daniel Jones' hands and trust Daniel and trust these receivers, it's not going to be if Daniel turns the ball over. It's going to be if these receivers drop another third down pass. That is what kills the Giants' drives. Not Daniel Jones' turnovers, but it's drop passes or blown up O-lines.
Yeah, it's that. But at the same time, too, when it comes to O-lines, that's a huge thing, too, because I feel like that's where the Eagles have the advantages at receiver and offensive line. The big thing, too, is to not blitz. And I only say that because Wink loves to blitz. He did it a lot in Baltimore.
Barely blitzed versus the Vikings.
That's the thing, though. That's where I noticed, hey, he's getting better at this, because when you always show blitz or you always throw blitz, people catch on to that, especially when you have a situation like a running quarterback like Jalen Hurts, because guess what? If his arm's not 100%, he's going to use his legs more. So if Wink can play more zone and man and maybe some nickel, it will only help the Giants in the case of winning the game.
Yeah, but Wink doesn't just like when Wink blitzes and he's blitzing like a bunch, like a high percentage of times. He's not just running like normal blitzes. He does the weird exotic blitzes. He makes quarterbacks think one thing's coming and does another thing that they didn't even like. They thought this would happen and this would happen, and then no, something else happens. Like Wink is special, and I hope people are starting to realize it, because I just started realizing this year. I don't know.
He was good in Baltimore. He just needed to change the scenery. That's what it was.
It's hard to say about head coaching and what will make a good head coach, and if a defensive coach is the best option, but he knows how to get players behind him. He looks like a guy who would be rah-rah, like fuck this, fuck that, blah, blah, blah. But he's literally doesn't quiver. He's literally stoic the entire game. And he says he owes it to his players to not show any emotion and be mentally in at 100%. Dable, on the other hand, is screaming at everything, which is awesome as well.
I just think, too, that Dable, he's finally getting to show, like, hey, here's what he's done all along, and we'll get into in a little bit, but you can tell in Buffalo, and then because Buffalo's building something, but you can also tell that they're finally starting to build a tree with obviously both him and Joe Shane coming there. And the only thing I have to say with the coordinator staff, I think if I had to pick one or the other, I think Kafka gets a head coaching job before Wink, just because offensive coaches are recognized more. Plus, Kafka does have the Kansas City background to him.
And everyone wants the young, like Sean McVay genius, guy.
Plus, too, the guys that have been coming off the Andy Reid tree have been really good too. Like if you look at Doug Peterson, for example, Matt Nagy, not so much, but
So whose tree is Dable under? Is it Belichick or is it?
He's a Belichick guy.
But is it not also McDermott?
Uh,
If that ever tree blossoms,
that one, that's a tough one.
there's a lot of like who's McDaniel like from Miami? Who's
Shanahan?
But wasn't he only there for a year and he was with McVay or somebody else before that?
No. Let's look this up. Mike McDaniel, the vaping wonder kid. I'm sorry, you can't convince me otherwise that that's what he was doing. And also, too, when I Google him, vaping literally
totally
comes up.
doing it. You
so
can see it in his hand, and then you see him.
Yeah. He was literally with the Niners since Kyle got there in 2017. He was the run game coordinator from 2017 to 2020. But then he got the OC gig when who was it? Who left San Francisco?
So he was always.
He got the OC gig when Mike LaFleur left to go be with Saleh and the Jets. So that's what happened there, and then Mike McDaniel got the offensive coordinator job, which led him to get the Miami Dolphins job this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's how that tree works. But no, ultimately, you know what? I'm going to say this just because, and also because I would like the story behind it. I'm going to go with the Giants to win this game. I don't know if it's going to happen or not, but it's like the expression, any given Sunday, even though this game's on a Saturday night. And you know what? If Philadelphia wins, though, I don't want to come out and be like even two people. I loved it when people when you guys beat Minnesota, everyone's saying, "Oh, the Vikings are frauds," and then the rest of us are just like, "This is the team we knew they always were."
Also, it's like they played near perfect on offense until they were moving the ball at will against the Giants defense, who look lost at times. They never were good on defense. They were always great on offense. It's like I don't know. They're not frauds. They're just
no.
They weren't a perfect team.
Even like the Eagles and stuff, when people are like, "Oh, but they played such an easy schedule." Like, I'm sorry, but like when you get an easy schedule, you have to take advantage of it. You're not supposed because if you don't take advantage of it,
look at random Colts beat the Chiefs this year. I'm pretty sure
week 3.
Yeah,
hell, we lost to the fucking Bears.
Yeah, the only game they won after week 4.
Yeah, they beat the Niners week 1, then they beat the Texans, then they beat us, then they did not win again for the rest of the year.
Have you seen that tweet where it was like, "Oh, the experts predicted us to go 3 and 14." Is that 15? What's the math?
2.
And he's like, "So we already won 2 games. It's like, you expect us to win 1 game the rest of the way?" And it's like, what happened? It's like, oh my god,
yeah.
Bears fans are so ridiculous. I just with the whole trading the pick for Justin Fields with the Giants, you hear, I can't believe they passed up on Justin Fields with Daniel Jones, or I can't believe we're going to be so good next year. And they're like, we're going to crush the Giants next year. It's on the schedule. It's like, bro, your team's so bad.
And here's the thing too, though, where everyone's saying I know they have all this cap money to spend and everything like that, but they're not going to be a good team next year because they sold at the deadline. They got rid of their 2 best defensive pieces in Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn. Plus, for everyone saying too, even though, just trade Fields, take Young, I think if the Bears are smart, they do one of 2 things. You draft either Will Anderson or the kid from Georgia, who I was name I'm blanking on right now. Not Broderick Jones.
Wait, who?
Jalen Carter. You either draft Jalen Carter from Georgia, or you take Will Anderson, or you get a team that's QB desperate, like what San Francisco did 2 years ago, flip the pick for a haul.
Yeah,
like a Detroit-esque deal, for Stafford, but minus the players being involved.
I would look at what I could get for Fields, honestly. If I can get a haul for Fields and start again with a new quarterback after trading away my defense, which was the only decent part of my team, I wouldn't say no. I don't believe in Justin Fields that much. He's a great runner, but eventually it's gonna get figured out, and you're gonna need to throw in tight windows.
But this is a team that traded a 2nd-round pick for Chase Claypool, for the love of God. That's where it's just what are you
Giants
doing?
fans who wanted Claypool or Judy for a ransom they're just insane. Isaiah Hodgins is better than both of them right now.
I bet. So, here's the thing. So I didn't post a video last Sunday. I didn't post my bets, but BetMGM offered me a same-game parlay for free for $25. I took the over. I took Justin Jefferson, which is the missing leg. I almost took Saquon, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to be risky. I took Hodgins. It was at plus 225 to get a touchdown, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to do it. And the only other one I'll say right now, and this happened on Monday night, and I was so mad about it that I didn't take it, was Dalton Schultz. I'm like, I think he was going to be the X factor if the Cowboys were to win, and he was.
Well, you hit on Hodgins, so.
Yeah, that's the thing. I hit on Hodgins just because, like, you always go for those unexpected players, which is why I'm scared to bet on Gabe Davis for Sunday, because I think everyone's starting to finally realize, hey, look, Gabe Davis is the guy.
I mean, he's either going to do everything or nothing.
I learned that the hard way with fantasy this year. Moving on to the Buffalo-Cincinnati game.
Before we move on, I have a stat. I sent it to somebody. I've been trying to find it. Just stall for a couple seconds.
I will stall. I am really good at doing that. So I said we're going to get into the San Francisco game obviously last, but if Dallas were to win the Super Bowl, there is one thing I already know that I would rather do, and that is wait behind Robert Loggia at the airport. So just for context,
Robert Loggia. How would he spell his name?
For Robert Loggia. Oh my God, it's Robert Loggia.
Fuck, where is this stat?
No, because I saw that today. There was a Patriots supporter who literally tweeted out the cutaway of, it was over like, what's your favorite Robert Loggia movie? And someone literally, Alex Barth from 98.5, literally tweeted that out, and I just laughed so hard at it. As in, oh my God, it's Robert Loggia. T as in Tim, look over there, it's Robert Loggia.
It's a good impression.
Yeah.
Fuck.
But no, here's the ultimate thing, like I was going to say earlier. When it comes to this game, that's the thing I'm glad we spoke about more than anything, is that this game was more about than Alex just coming on here and saying that, yeah, the G-men are going to win. It was more about what do they have to do to get the win, because obviously they're not the favorite. If the Philadelphia Eagles win this game, good on them. They're playing with house money. They'll host the NFC Championship game at 3:00 next Sunday. But if they lose, it's viewed as a failed season. There are 3 teams remaining, I think, that would be... Actually, no. I only think the teams that are remaining are Philadelphia and Buffalo, where if they lose, it's a failed season. You can put Kansas City in there, I guess, just because of everything else. But if San Francisco or Dallas don't win the Super Bowl, it's not a failure of a season, especially for San Francisco. Dallas, I think they won a playoff game. I think you keep Mike McCarthy's job safe. Buffalo versus Cincinnati, look, it's the same thing where it was 0-2 start, turned into a magical playoff run, which we'll see where it goes from here with their offensive line. And for everyone going, their offensive line, they're hurt. Alex Kappa didn't practice today. Jonah Williams didn't practice today. It's looking like Jonah Williams probably won't play on Sunday. They got to the Super Bowl last year with no offensive line. So that's why I'm here to say right now, don't write off the Cincinnati Bengals. And then with the New York Giants and with the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're playing with house money. What do I mean by that? The money that they're spending, it's not theirs. So if you win, great. If you lose, you look back on the season as a success. You look back on it as, hey, we were the team that went, I think it was 9-7-1 compared to a year ago when they were 4-13 and picking the 5th pick overall in the draft. It was a great moment at the draft. Don't get me wrong. Sam Prince right now probably very, very happy too. But at the same time too, that moment turned from there. It was great. Like I said earlier too, when the Talking Giants guys did their viewing party for the wildcard game last week, it was great to see. But I'll say that for some Giants fans, the ones that are calling this a team of destiny, let's pump the brakes on that just a smidge, just because, look, we don't know where it's going to go. Meanwhile,
I'm not going to find the stat. Fuck. I might find it later, but I
feel like this is where Matt comes in and goes, could not find the stat. Fuck. Wow.
Probably.
Terrible.
But it was a stat about teams who play. Here we go. I just found it. Teams are 15-9 when trying to beat a team for the 3rd time. So they go 48-0 in the regular season to beat them twice, and then to get to the playoffs and play them again, only 15-9.
And there's also another tweet that just reminded me of, because of John Ewing from who does data and PR at BetMGM. I have to, right here. So Daniel Jones against the spread, all time for Bet Labs. All games, he's 32 and 22, 59% of the time. That's pretty good. As an underdog, he is 27 and 15. That's 64%. On the road, he's 18 and 7, 72%. But as a road dog, he's 17 and 5 against the spread.
Yeah, Giants don't usually come close to winning in the last 4 years. They all I'm surprised it's even You say games is an underdog for Daniel. That's literally like 99% of the games he's played. We were never favorites. Like
One of my
the
favorite
Colts
bets
game this year, maybe against Washington one year.
One of my favorite bets that I made was week 1. You guys plus 5.5 against the Tennessee Titans. That was one of my favorite bets I made all season. No,
thank God he missed that kick. That's how you know things would turn around. That we actually won a game because the kicker missed. But all right, you last thing on the Giants, and then we can go on. You want to talk about a team of destiny? In 2007, Dallas beat the Giants twice to meet in the divisional round, where the Giants were plus 7.5. In 2022, 2023, Philadelphia, another Giants rival, beat the Giants twice and will meet in the divisional round where the Giants are 7.5 point favorites. So
I'm just saying right now,
Tony Romo was a lot better than Jalen Hurts. Jim, I don't know, Jim, maybe Jim, I don't know.
And we're now ready for the third week in a row of Tony Romo calling Josh Allen as the Buffalo Bills host the Cincinnati Bengals, a game this podcast host was almost tempted to go to until he saw the price of tickets. Cheapest tickets like $300 to get in. Where the Cincinnati Bengals are plus 5.5 underdog, and the over/under is at 48.5. I only say that too because this Saturday I'm going down there because I want to watch the Sabres versus the Ducks. And for everyone wondering why is he going to that game and not a Toronto game, because the tickets are like 4 times less the price. Look it up. I'm not lying to you. But with this right here, how much of what happened in the little bit of time we saw on the Monday night game 2.5 weeks ago will play into effect into this coming game? Like, how do you see that? Because the way I look at it is that game, we don't know what's going to happen. So this is the ultimate test of who the better team is. Even though I know it is win or go home, it's still the same thing where I feel like obviously what happened off the field matters, but what happened on the field, you just wipe it clean.
Yeah. I think the same thing's going to happen in this game that I thought this was going to happen in the first game. Bengals money line, Bengals minus 3.5, Bengals minus 5.5 even. I think they're going to just flat out beat them. And it's not going to be that close. Might be within a touchdown, but I don't think it's going to be 1, 2, 3 points. I think the Bengals are going to clearly show that they're the better team.
My thing too is look, I know I don't like the Bills. But I have a lot of friends. I've made a lot of friends with people on here who do support Buffalo, so I get to see their Twitter stuff. They're already talking about how they've sold out their half of Mercedes-Benz Stadium for next Sunday with tickets going on sale already for the AFC Championship game. They're kind of doing that, but I know everyone's kind of saying last week where it's like, oh, this, like, oh, hey, we barely beat Miami. It's a divisional game. I'm sorry, but even going back to 2 weeks ago, I know Mac threw 3 picks in that game. The Patriots were still hanging in tough until the fourth quarter in that game, even with the 2 miraculous kickoffs. Like when the first kickoff happened, I expected that to be a flat-out ass whipping. But the fact that they kind of took their foot off the gas until that happened, it worries me a bit with Buffalo because I feel like that's the other thing too with Bills Mafia. They expected this season to be easy. Like, hey, we just cakewalk through the regular season. You don't go through any adversity. You don't go through any of this. Obviously, they've gone through more adversity than any other fan base wants to or could even imagine going through with everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin, which it's even great. He's back in the team facility daily. He's not doing meetings, but it's great to see him around the guys. The one thing I will say is that if he comes out in any capacity on Sunday, it's I'm just going to say there's just something behind that where it's like you ride that wave of momentum into Phoenix in 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and we'll see what happens. But ultimately, with that being said, when everyone's worrying about their offensive line of Cincinnati, the Bills defense just doesn't do it for me. They'll get the Joe Burrow, but I trust Jamar Chase. I trust T. Higgins. Hell, Hayden Hurst has been playing great lately. So when it comes down to it, I'm going to trust the guy that's been there before. And also, too, I'm just going to say this right now on the record because I'd love to see it happen. A world where the Bills were to lose and have their season end in front of their home fans. Chef's kiss.
Wasn't DeMar there on the sidelines versus Miami?
No.
You sure? Wasn't in the locker room or anything? I thought I saw videos of him high-fiving players before the game. I could be wrong, but I thought he was there.
He was there
Either
on
way,
Saturday.
he's joined the team since.
He was there when they were doing their walkthrough on Saturday.
So he was probably there in Miami.
He may have, I don't know. I don't think anyone confirmed that, but I know for a fact that he's in the team facility and he's just around the guys and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't know. As much as I want to believe that, I mean, think whatever you believe that he's okay and nothing, no death happened, no
Yeah.
serious injury. But I just like the Bills are vulnerable. They're not. I'm sorry. It's not just gonna will them to a victory. I just don't see. They're not as good as they were last year. And to me, the matchup that we should all be wanting to see, in spite of, I'm sorry, the great story Buffalo would be, it's Burrow and Mahomes. That's what I want to see. The Bengals, I want to see. You have to beat the Chiefs in my book to go to the Super Bowl, and I want like the Chiefs kind of have to beat the Bengals to get back. I think it's the perfect story, and then whoever wins, hopefully the Bengals. Actually, I mean, I want Joe Burrow to go there every year, but I wouldn't mind if the Chiefs won either. But hopefully, it's the Bengals versus the Giants, and we could.
It's also it's my time for a stats turn. So this is from Andrew Russell. With Von Miller, the Bills ranked 4th in the NFL in pressure rate at 34.4% with 4 or less pass rushers. Since his injury, that pressure rate has gone down to 25.4% with 4 or less pass rushers, and they ranked 27th in the NFL. And for anyone thinking, oh, this tweeted there, this was tweeted yesterday at 2:11 in the afternoon. So that's just one of those things to look at where that's not a nothing stat. That's not something just to like kind of gloss over. That's not something just to like, that's a really big deal. If this Bills team had a healthy defense, and also to the fact that, I think the Bengals corners can hang. The only thing is, though, how often if Eli Apple gets burnt or not. So at the end of the day, too, I'm going Bengals, and I'm going to go with a score of, let's get fun here. I'm going to say 31-23. I'm going to say some scoregami just for the fun of it.
What was your Giants score prediction?
Okay, Giants score.
I don't think I gave one. I don't know if you did.
I didn't. Okay. I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to say Giants win 27-24.
Wow, I was going to say Giants 28-24.
I think it's on the leg of Graham Gano, who, by the way, for fantasy football this year was great.
Yeah, he doesn't miss much.
Yeah,
he won't hit any 60-yarders, but he
won't miss much. I can see this though being like a 14-14 game at halftime, but then the Bengals really like clamp down in the second half and just get off to a crazy thing. And also too, when it comes down to it, I know Josh Allen's a hell of a quarterback. I trust, for all you want to say about certain quarterbacks and turning the ball over, Josh Allen's problems have gone unnoticed, and he has not been keeping good ball security. So when it comes down to ball security, I trust Joe Burrow a lot more than I trust Josh Allen.
Yeah. As bad as their offensive line is, I don't think that Buffalo's going to like have this crazy like 9-sack game or anything. It's kind of why that would be sick if, besides loving Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase, their offensive line, I would love to see the Giants in a Super Bowl go against. Talk about our front four. But anyway, I'm just going to say I'm 35-21.
Oof. I can see
it be decisive.
Yeah. Also, Bills fans are weird. I literally saw them play
35-24. 35-24. They'll get an extra field goal.
All right, cool. I'm 31-23. But we got the last game of the weekend, which your game's not even being called by the Big Fox team. Your game's being called by Joe Davis and Daryl Johnston.
Good. Keep underestimating us. Keep giving us
Burkhart and Olsen, Andrews and Rinaldi are going to be in Santa Clara, where the San Francisco 49ers play the Dallas Cowboys, where the Dallas Cowboys are 3.5-point favorites. Over under 45.5. I'm going to say this right now. The Dallas Cowboys is better for the league and for TV, but give me the San Francisco 49ers to win this football game.
Ain't better for shit. Fuck them.
You know what I mean? From a ratings perspective.
No, of course, but fuck them. I'm not going to say that. No. We're going to say, dude, this game has no reason to be close. San Francisco, even with Mr. Irrelevant as their quarterback, they're almost perfect. They don't have many weaknesses, but Dallas is not that good.
I want to say really about San Francisco quickly.
Yeah.
As long as Brock Purdy plays smart football and doesn't turn the ball over, San Francisco will win this game.
Yeah, I think as each round will go on, he will. He kind of played loose with the ball against Seattle, but I think they knew like they were gonna just crush them in the second half.
Yeah.
But so I think Dak is not a great quarterback. I don't want people are going to overhype them now because they beat a terrible Washington team, Tampa team. Yeah, they're awful, really are. Tom Brady is not great anymore. If you can't get the ball to Mike Evans, Julio Jones, and Chris Godwin to beat exposed already exposed Cowboys team with the terrible hurt secondary, that's another thing. Their secondary is awful. So just Brock Purdy, just be smart with the ball and hit your receivers, and your tight end.
Your WWE loving tight end.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say it's gonna be a close game. It's gonna come down to Dallas getting, or San Francisco getting a last-second field goal and crushing Dallas like usual in the playoffs. Somebody has to do it. Probably gonna end with a who's their kicker? I don't even know.
So two things. I have the perfect score, and it's Robbie Gould, by the way.
Oh, it's Robbie Gould. Yeah, how could I forget? Been there forever.
Quietly been there forever. He was with the Bears forever, and now he's been with the Niners forever.
Yeah. Fuck. I don't have a score. So what's yours?
17-14. I think this is a defensive slugfest where you kind of kind of like what we saw Monday night at the beginning, but then when it comes down to it, San Francisco, I think I could see this happening where it's 14-14. Dak has the ball at midfield, 4th and whatever. San Francisco comes up with a big play, march down the field, just drain the clock out. Robbie Gould through the upright. Yeah. San Francisco's off to the NFC Championship game. That's the other thing I'll say too. For everyone out there who doesn't know, San Francisco and the New York Giants have a hell of a playoff history as well. So I'm just going to point that out right now.
They do. I'm going to say 24-21.
I respect it. I just can see a world where this is like a game, like, hey, both teams turn over the ball. But when it comes down to it, I just trust Dallas to screw up more. Like we saw this happen literally in the same game last year. Remember Dak did the slide and then couldn't spike the ball in time? Yep. So when it comes down to it, I can just see that happening. Plus 2 with the Cowboys. I feel like what happened. Oh, can you hear me now?
This is my internet or your internet?
You froze, so I think it's on you. With Dallas, though, I think you're right. Everyone's baiting them into winning, unless your name's Stephen A. Smith. But I feel like the media, ever since Monday night, is on this, Dallas is back. They're this big, bad Cowboys team. But in reality, you took advantage of a situation where, look, Tampa ain't what Tampa once was. Like, Tampa was not a good team all year. We truly saw an 8-9 football team go up against a 12-5 football team, and you saw the difference.
If you're going to say the Giants beat the fraud Vikings, it's like you can't even call the Bucs frauds because nobody thought they were good. Exactly. I mean, people thought they would win because Tom maybe pushes through and gets another win in the playoffs, and the Cowboys are so hurt and terrible. But no, it just showed how that they had no chance. They were ass.
Yeah. But then with this game, though, I feel like also once I found out that this game was going to be the 6:40 Fox slot, I always had a feeling Dallas was going to win. I'm like, it just, the people at Fox are happy because this game is going to draw in such a huge rating. I still think Buffalo and Cincy, potentially if I had to rank the games in order of which I think they're going to be the best, I'm going to go Buffalo, Cincy, you guys, this game, and then Kansas City, Jacksonville, because at the end of the day, look, to Kansas City, Jacksonville, we know who the better team is. Philadelphia and the G-Men, you don't know who the better team is just because these guys know each other so well. Buffalo and Cincinnati, it's a true test. And you're not even going to be able to go back to the game from a few weeks ago and say, what happened there, what was going to happen in there before the DeMar Hamlin incident occurred matters, because it doesn't. And then with this game right here, there's also more pressure on the Dallas Cowboys to win this game, in my opinion. I think because of what happened Monday night and the fact that it's the Dallas Cowboys. And the last time that they were in an NFC Championship game, you and I were wearing Pampers. So for those factors, give me San Francisco versus New York and give me KC and Cincinnati, because both of those would make for compelling television next weekend.
Yeah, so this is definitely the biggest game. It's going to get the biggest rating. Dallas is the biggest fan base. San Francisco probably is the second biggest fan base.
Also one of the biggest markets too.
But it's a toss-up. It's like, what are people going to tune in more? Probably to see the two better quarterbacks, Burrow and Allen, Burrow and Mahomes. But I don't know. Philly, New York, huge rivalry. Just two huge cities that people are fans of. So I don't know.
Two
It's
of the
a toss-up
iconic
between those
franchises in the
two.
league.
But yeah, out of all the championship matchups, I mean, if New York and Dallas played in a championship game, in a NFC championship game, the ratings would be just groundbreaking, like what they were for Thanksgiving on steroids.
42.2 million, I think it was.
Yeah, it's the most watched game in history. So I mean, there's no way it does less.
Yeah. So that's just the thing where I think a combination of any of these teams in the Final Four is going to be great for ratings, except for if it's Buffalo, Jacksonville, you probably know what's going to happen, even though Buffalo lost to Jacksonville last year.
But just like nobody cares about Jacksonville.
Yeah, that's the thing. No one cares about Jacksonville. The owners are better wrestling promoters than they are football owners.
I don't know. They won a playoff game. That's up there.
I've just been saying there's a joke ever since AEW has come out in the Jacksonville.
It was true until they just won a playoff game. That's pretty big.
Yeah.
Regardless of how AEW is doing.
That's the exact thing. You're right. So we'll wait and see what happens, but we're in for a big weekend of football. We're in for an exciting weekend of football. But since I'm going, I don't know if we'll podcast again beforehand. I'm going to go off and go more for the W and YWC and ask you a quick question. Next Saturday is the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
Who do you have winning both matches?
Oh fuck! I really haven't thought much, but I guess I'm gonna have.
Because I feel like
I really don't know if they give it to Cody, but I'm probably gonna have to pick him. I really don't know if The Rock is gonna enter the Rumble, win, and that's how they set it up.
I feel like Cody for Final Four is a very easy pick to make, though.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably gonna be second to last or third to last.
I think 27-30 he comes out.
I don't know. I mean, just mean eliminated. He'll either be the last person eliminated or a heel will eliminate him and then get eliminated by Rock or somebody. I'm just so excited that it's a Triple H booked Rumble. We had a scare that Vince was coming back to creative, but we seem to be good for now. But I just think I think Austin will probably be in it as a surprise. Maybe Taker, maybe HBK. Who knows? It's in Texas. I'm just excited. I know it's gonna make sense. It's gonna be fun. The women's Rumble, shit. I honestly have no. Charlotte already won the title, so it's not her. Ronda says she's gonna do tag stuff, so I doubt it's gonna be her.
Maybe Bayley.
Bayley just had like a million chances at the title. I really don't know. Triple H could just book somebody new over. All right. Rhea Ripley. She's being booked huge. Judgment Day looks awesome. I'll go Rhea. But it could be like Naomi could come back and they could just try to push her to the moon and make her special again, and then maybe add her to the bloodline or something. Who knows?
A way I can see them booking Cody, especially if they don't do the Rock route, you have Solo eliminate him, or you even have like Sammy or one of the Usos eliminate him, just to kind of, slowly build that feud where it's not.
And then he goes through the Usos and Solo and Sammy or whoever. Sammy's probably done by then, but
I can see a world where Sammy gets eliminated by someone from the bloodline to spark that tag team feud as well.
Yeah. Are you going to Elimination Chamber or whatever it's called?
I was going to go, but
Elimination Chamber? I don't even know. I forget.
It's called Elimination Chamber still. Okay. I was going to go, but then by the time I looked at ticket prices, especially for like floor, because obviously like I'm spoiled kid who loves the floors now. The tickets were quite expensive, and also they sold out really, really quickly. Like if I wanted to get a good floor seat, it would cost me like $600.
Yeah, they haven't been to. When was the last time there was a pay-per-view there? Like 2011?
2009 Breaking Point. I remember that because I was at the Raw. I was at the Raw the next night after, and then today they're doing a Road to WrestleMania literally 2 weeks later in Toronto. But I don't really go
live event or
live
show.
Event.
Oh, okay.
Live event. So I don't do house shows because also every time they come here for a house show, it's always Raw. It's always Raw. Where I'd rather see the SmackDown crew do a house show, but I will go to TV if they come back because they always come back in the summertime. So if they come back in July or August for TV, I'll definitely grab a ticket for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, Montreal would be a sick place to go see a show, though.
I would love to.
They're nuts.
The other thing I'm hoping for is Detroit's a rumored candidate for SummerSlam, and if that happens, I'll definitely be going.
Yeah. Matt and I were talking about we want to get back and doing trips again. So SummerSlam, hopefully it's not in Detroit because that's just like who wants to travel to Detroit. I know you because it's close, but
it's a 4-hour drive.
Yeah, I just like there's no desire to go to Detroit. It's witness what crime?
Yeah,
Kid Rock.
I would literally probably drive out there like Friday night and then Saturday.
Eat some shitty pizza.
Yeah, exactly. Go, you eat some pizza. I'd probably stay on the Canada side too. I'd probably stay in Windsor, and then Saturday night stay in a hotel. Sunday morning, you wake up and go home.
What is Windsor just like the next town over?
It's basically Windsor is the town on the Canada side. It's
Detroit's right on the border.
Yeah, Detroit's literally on the border. Like I remember, I was there. I was in Detroit like 10 years ago for a music festival, and I was getting Canadian cell service because we were literally that close. Like it's literally you can see. Basically, and then you can walk from there to like Comerica Park. So basically, where it is, Comerica Park's left field is essentially the main entrance for Ford Field. So like they're literally right next to each other.
Gotcha.
And then up the road is Little Caesars Arena, which I have more of a desire to go to, so I can go to a Wings game, get a Little Caesars pizza, get a drink, and watch the game. Yeah, but no. I was actually, I'm going to tell a story of off air. So obviously, as you guys may or may not know, Justin Sobrian's gone from wrestling YouTuber to stand-up comedian, puts on some shows, and saw Rabbi there for the first time in a really long time. And he asked me about that. And we're both in the boat of we'd love to go to shows and stuff because like we were both asked about LA and everything. And then we were just like, look, the house is just the prices of everything plus other trips too. Like I'm going to Florida in May for a wedding, so I have to save my money for that.
Yeah, unless I win big fucking on division round weekend, I doubt him. There's like a 1% chance I go to LA.
I would have loved to have gone to LA if LA had happened. If LA 21 had happened, there's no COVID, there's none of that.
Yeah,
I 100% go to that with you guys.
Yeah,
I 100% go. But now everything's changed. I'm looking to buy a house. It's just look. Sometimes when you're an adult, you got to make tough decisions. You don't have not the means, but you can't.
I know what you're saying.
But I do want to try to. I really want to get Philly. I really want to make a return to Philly, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm not. There's no chance we're missing Philly. It's too close to not. So
even for Philly, if I fly in Saturday morning and I book it out of there Monday,
yeah,
like
just go to the weekend and chill with us.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I go for the weekend. I fly in, do the show, do Mania.
Hopefully there won't be a snowstorm this time.
It's April, so I don't think so. But just have to dress warm for Mania.
I'll be pissed if there is. Don't spill your fucking beer in the Wells Fargo Center, though.
Oh, I won't. I will not.
What a terrible Royal Rumble.
You know what, Hustle? Yeah, as long as this next Saturday is better than last year's, because last year's Rumble, for all of you out there who aren't wrestling fans, was not a good Rumble. It was the men's one was pretty bad.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It was last year was
Brock.
Oh yeah, Brock won. Yeah, Brock won last year. That's so forgettable.
Yeah.
Edge winning the year before in the PC is also forgettable.
That was Tropicana Field. That wasn't the PC.
Edge winning?
Yeah, that was
in the Thunderdome. The Thunderdome. Sorry, not the PC, the Thunderdome.
Yeah, but they were Thunderdome.
No fans were there.
No.
Yeah. So that's forgettable. But Drew winning, that was the best Rumble in years, maybe a decade.
Yeah, because even 2019 was it was Seth, but
yeah, Phoenix. Yeah, and 2020 was Drew.
Yeah, that was great because when Brock was just eliminating everyone, then Drew eliminates Brock, and it's like, oh, holy shit, what's going down here? And then
the Brock thing, they've never done that before. One guy keeps eliminating out, and then he was doing fucking like dance moves when guys would come out. He'd have funny reactions. It was hilarious. And then it was like two Rumbles. It was like you had the Brock part, and then you had everything after that.
Yeah,
which was Edge returning and a bunch of other cool stuff.
But also, too, everyone, you have an exciting weekend of sports ahead because NHL season's ramping up, NBA is ramping up, college basketball's in full swing, and this Saturday, UFC as well. So you have UFC pay-per-view going head-to-head with the football game, which I'll probably have like both on at the exact same time. Can't bet on the UFC anymore, but
damn,
it is what it is. Yeah, it's a long story. But anyway, for everyone out there, for Alex and I, enjoy divisional weekend, guys.
Pitchers and catchers is only in a couple months.
couple weeks, actually. I think Valentine's Day.
Yeah, it's next month.
Yeah, it's like the 14th
Crazy.
or the 15th. That's going to wrap it up for us here at YWC Football Talk. You guys enjoy divisional weekend. And if you want to tail us for our picks and win some money, great. And if not, it's your loss. Or you can find your way to WrestleMania like Alex might do if he hits his bets this weekend.